Hello. Who's going to join us? Hello. Who's going to be the first to join us this evening? Rochelle White, how are you? Good evening. Daniel, good evening. Good evening, guys. As you're coming in, please can you start to share straight away? Daniel, again, hello. How are you this evening? Theophilus, how are you? Good evening. Oriyomi, good evening. Laulu, good evening. How are you? Mofelala, good evening. D, how are you today? Hello, Esther. Julie, hello, me Julie. Oriyomi Anota, again, good evening. How are you? Hello, Chigo. How are you? Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. As you're coming in, please start sharing straight away. Hello, Charles. How are you today? Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Hello, La Martins. How are you? D. Good evening. Charles, good evening again. Thank you, guys. As you're coming in, please share. Thank you. So that we can get started on time. The more people come on, the better, so that we can get the questions on. And also, guys, please send your question now in the comment section. Write Q, colon, and then your question, so that we can easily identify them. Please send your questions now. Thank you. Ifoma, good evening. How are you? Dee saying good evening, Pastor Sandey and the beautiful family of DSA. Good evening, everyone. Chinwe, good evening. Thank you, Julie. Olayinka, good evening. Adewale, good evening. Good evening. Elizabeth, good evening. Thank you, guys. Thank you for sharing. I can see some people already sharing. So please, more people share. And also invite your friends. I can't keep calm. It's DSA Golden Jubilee. So we can write that as well and share. Good evening, darling. Thank you. Thank you. Lazarus, good evening. How are you? Gloria, how are you today? I hope you're all well. I hope you had a beautiful Sunday. I had a very pleasant Sunday. So I hope yours was pleasant too. Hello. Okay, we're going to get started now. Without further ado. So I guess you want to say hello to Dr. Sandey. So I just switched my screen.
Bless you, everybody. Thank you for being present today.
Look at that. Well, as you know, it's question time. So let's get started with the question. Hello, Kevin. How are you? Good. Okay. Yesterday, let me summarize what we ended with yesterday. We always end well. Yes. So yesterday was quite interesting, and I think what struck out for me was about Dr. Sandey's 15-year-old self, the advice that I would give his 15-year-old self. And that was really cool. There was a lot of points, and I think actually it would be useful to our youth now, and we should all share it. Either you have children or you don't. I think that's a video. Yesterday's video is a video that you can share with young people, because even with our age difference, the challenges that he spoke about, that he would have told his 15-year-old self, were the challenges that I faced, even though we're different genders. So I think this could help any young person that would heed to this advice. So go back to yesterday's video and send it to as many people as possible, especially young people, because you could be saving lives. So please do that if you can. Okay? Thank you. So let's get started to today's question. I wouldn't ask how Dr. Sandey is, because I did that earlier and I got my answer. Okay. So, there's a question about historical personalities. So it says, Pastor, which historical personalities are inspiring you or inspired you in your life? Could you name 10? And which one influenced you the most? Could you name them?
Надо в личную страницу поделиться, что-то не получается в моей публичной. Well, historical personalities that influence me the most. There are lots of them. Mostly the people who influence me are people that I read about in history. I feel sometimes I feel so lonely sometimes, and I feel that I am alone. I feel I'm not living in my age and in my times and in my. I think there are no. I feel sometimes that I'm not living with my contemporaries for some reason. I seem to have a problem finding my contemporaries in my generation. I don't know what will happen to the people in the future after me, because I can't see them. But I really hope that there will be a lot more people like me after my time, after I'm gone. But when I'm alive, I don't see too many people who are my contemporaries, who I could feel comfortable with, and I could think that they are my friends and my contemporaries. But when I go into the history books, I see a lot of people that I could say, these people are like me. I could see my friends in history. I could see myself and I say, yeah, these are my friends. I love them. I don't just call them my friends. I see myself. I see myself in them. I see myself clearly. For example, when I look at someone like the life of Martin Luther King Jr., I see that as me. I see myself in him. When I look at the life of Martin Luther from Germany, I see myself in him. I see that is me. That is just me. When I look at, other people in history like Benjamin Franklin, I think that is me. When I look at people in history like John Calvin, I think that is me too. When I look in history at people like Fox, I think that is me. When I look at people in history and I see people like Hus, I think that is me too. Hus, H-U-S. When I look at history and I see somebody like Knox, I think that is me as well. When I look at somebody in history and I see someone like Wycliffe, I think that is me. When I look in history and I see somebody like the Wesley brothers, I see myself in them. When I look at history and I see someone like Whitfield, I see myself in them as well. When I look at history and I see somebody like John J. Lake, I see myself in him. When I look at history and I see people like, just even people like, maybe I shouldn't mention those people because even people who look so horrible and terrible to some extent, like Lenin.
John Lennon.
I see Lenin, and I see not myself in him, but I see things I could learn from him as well. And so he's not. I don't like his personality. I hate him. He's my enemy. But I could see something I could learn. So I'm seeing something I could learn from history, from a lot of people. When I look at someone like Moody, I see myself in him. When I look at someone like Finney, John Finney, George Finney. I see myself in him. Yeah. Then I learned from people like Oral Roberts as well, from Bill Graham, Bray Graham, from Smith Wigglesworth, Simon Simon. So all these are people that I've learned from, but I've also learned from people who are not Christians. There is but people who have done great things in history, but who have not been Christians. I've also learned from them. So, those are people that I kind of see myself in, that I associate myself with. People that, have been able to change history. When I see people who have been able to transform countries, nations, that's where I see myself. I see myself alongside them. I see that they are my colleagues. I see that they are just like me. I see them doing exactly the same thing I'm doing. Okay, then let's say in Nigeria, someone like Awolowo, I see myself in him. I see myself in a lot of other people, from different countries. Even in people like Fidel Castro, I learned from him as well. I don't see myself in him. I don't like a lot of things that he has done, but I see a lot of things I could learn from him. George Washington, I see myself in him. Lincoln, I see myself in him a lot in a lot of areas. So should I keep on mentioning? I think I've mentioned more than 10.
Yes, but what you haven't mentioned, sir, is the characteristics that they have. Because you say you see yourself in them.
Okay, you mentioned them one by one. I will tell you what I've learned from each person.
Let's start from George Washington.
George Washington, okay. I see myself in George Washington, I see that he's a warrior. And I know that I needed that. And I'm a warrior myself. People say Pastor Sunday loves people and all that, but I'm also a warrior. People who know me very well, especially people who have lived in Ukraine, they know that I'm a warrior. And I learned from him a lot, from George Washington, the fact that he's not afraid to go to war. He's not afraid to do what he needs to do, to go to battle, just to be able to carry out the mission and the destiny that is seeing ahead of him. So I learned that from him, and I see that this man has some presence, some character, value, some characteristics like me. He's just like a warrior like me. Of course, I didn't mention philosophers like Immanuel Kant. I see myself with people like that, and I've learned from great philosophers like that. But let me see. There are so many.
Okay, as you keep searching.
Okay.
Hello guys, I hope you've shared this. If you haven't, can you please share the video so that other people can join us and listen to this wisdom. There's quite a lot of information already, and we've only gone about 10-15 minutes. So please share this so that more people will benefit. Hello, hello Molly. Thank you for joining. So as you're joining, please share and also invite people. Invite your friends on Facebook. Thank you. Are you ready, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've also learned from a lot of philosophers, great philosophers. I can't say I've seen myself in Aristotle, but definitely I've learned from Aristotle, from Plato, from Socrates. Let me see. What do you call this? I'm going to give you a whole list of philosophers that are my friends. I see that they're my friends, yes.
Your friends, okay.
Yes. My friends. A lot of them I don't like.
You don't like them?
Some philosophers, but the ones I like are my friends. I will give you those ones of mine. I've given you Immanuel Kant.
Yes. Aristotle,
Plato, Socrates, yes. Those are people I've learned a lot from, and I see myself in them. I see a lot of things that similar things. You see, a lot of names are coming to my mind.
Yes, sir, but I only asked for 10, sir.
Yeah, that I'm forgetting even the most important ones that I want to talk to you about. Because, yes, I see myself, and I don't want people to get annoyed at me, at this. People who know who these people are, because they know that some of them are not Christians, and some of them don't stand for the same values that I stand from. But I see myself in them, and I will tell you why I see myself in them. And I will tell you what I see in them, what particular quality. For example, I'm going to say something now that I don't want to make people mad. But myself, I see my role going to Africa as a thinker and as a philosopher, and I see myself as the Voltaire of Africa. Now, people who know Voltaire, they might think, why is not Jesus that is mentioned? Why not Paul? Why not David? Why not something? But why Voltaire? But I see myself as I want to be. If I'm able to do what Voltaire did for Europe in Africa, I will see my mission accomplished. So I want to see myself as the Voltaire of Europe. I mean, of Africa. Yeah. I want to see myself as the Voltaire. That's my dream. And I believe that by the grace of God, that's my calling. I think God has placed placed in me the burden to repeat what Voltaire has done for Europe, for Africa, and in Africa. And that is how I see that. Those are some of the philosophers I want to mention. But I think the most important one for me right now, that I want to, not just copy, but I want to, maybe not copy him, but I want to use my own principles to do what Voltaire has done for Europe. That's what I want to do for my continent. That's what I want to do for my continent. So I see myself as a Voltaire of this age. So now you can go through the list, and I'll be telling you why I am, why I see myself in each of them, and what I see in each one of these characteristics. You've mentioned Washington, and I've told you. Let me tell you more about Washington. Another thing about Washington is that he never held to anything. He never allowed anything to possess him. He didn't allow power to possess him. He didn't allow wealth to possess him. He didn't allow position to possess him. It's always free. I like to live like that. I have a church, but you don't even know I have a church. I don't even go there to preach. I have a house. You don't not even know it's my house. I live in the 10% of the house, just somewhere there. I have cars. Everybody is in my car. I don't care. I don't want to hold on to anything. I want to be able to do great things, but not allow them to control me. Only God to take possession of me and to control me. So those are some of the things I've learned from George Washington. Next one.
Martin Luther.
Martin Luther or Martin Luther King? Which one?
King Jr.
You didn't say that, my dear. You didn't say that, my dear.
Well, whichever way you describe, I would just use the other.
No, I gave you a list.
Yes.
I gave you a list. Yes. And in my list, you have Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes.
Then you have another one that is Martin Luther.
Yes.
But it's not King.
Yes.
So which one do you want me now to talk about?
Sir, if you had spoken about any of them, I'll just ask you about the other one. But I would like
I'm
you to talk about
asking you which one do you mean, because you must know who I'm describing.
Okay. Would you please describe Martin Luther King Jr.?
Okay, why? What I say in him?
Yeah, the character.
Yeah, what I see myself in Martin Luther King Jr. Actually, as a matter of fact, in 2003, I think, I was invited to a U.S. on the third week of January or something. They always commemorate the Martin Luther King Jr. Day in America. So I was invited to TBN to speak on the national television in America, in Miami, about Martin Luther King on this day. So they had three speakers. I was one of them, and it took speakers. I and the daughter, Bernice King. So we were speaking together, we were co-speakers, talking about what Martin Luther King Jr. had done for America and what we could learn from that. So when I finished speaking, the daughter was supposed to speak after me. She came and said, she was 40-something, 46 at that time or so. She said, for the first time in my life, I came across somebody that reminds me so much of my father that I think I am listening to my father with an accent. Mm-hmm. She said, you even look like Martin Luther King Jr. You even look like my father. She just held on to me. We have a picture with her somewhere. She just held on to me and said that you are just like my father, especially with your prophetic. We have the same prophetic mandate with Martin Luther King Jr. So that is where I see myself in him. He has a prophetic mandate to bring about, to turn a nation, to subdue a nation, and to change the direction of a nation. And that's the way I see myself. I don't see myself as pastor in a church. I see myself as using church as a platform to change a nation. I see myself as someone that is sent to subdue nations by the principles of the kingdom of God. And that's what Martin Luther King Jr. did. Even though he was a pastor too, he was using church as his platform. But it was not just a four-walled pastor. It was a pastor that had a prophetic mission and mandate upon the nation. That's where I see Martin Luther King Jr. and myself. As I see him as my contemporary, as my brother, as my friend. Another person that I see as my, I don't quite identify with him as much as I identify with Martin Luther King Jr., but it's called Malcolm X. Malcolm X. Now, Malcolm X, I just learned from him. And let me tell you immediately what I've learned from Malcolm X. What I've learned from Malcolm X will be fearlessness. Secondly, self-development. Thirdly, intellectual superiority. What was the next person you want me to talk about?
Well, you can now go to... Guys, I hope you're enjoying this because this is history lesson for me. It's not just about saying all these things, but it's history lesson and just understanding the character that he identifies with or he likes about the individual that he's mentioning. So next we're going to have the Martin Luther.
Martin Luther from Germany.
Yes.
Martin Luther, the reformer.
Yes.
That's my mandate. That's my calling. Martin Luther was bold enough to come against a whole establishment, the whole religious establishment of his day. He was fearless. He was able to take on the whole world. I feel that's my calling. I think I'm condemned to death already. Even though I'm still living and I'm talking, but I'm going to Nigeria to go against the whole nation and the whole religious establishments. I see myself as a dead man. And my example in this is Martin Luther. He saw himself as a dead person and he was ready to pay the price and go against the whole world. He went against the whole continent. He went against a whole religious establishment that was controlling the world. He went against the whole world. That is how I see myself, and it's my inspiration. I see myself in Martin Luther very strongly. I think we have the same mandate with him and the same calling.
Yeah. Okay. Next person.
Yes, please.
Benjamin Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin is a man of virtues. He developed what is called the 13 virtues that he used to change his life. And he was also an inventor. He was a intellectual superhouse. He was people call me wisdom bank, right? The real wisdom bank that I know is Benjamin Franklin. So we have that similarity with him.
Okay.
And I carry virtues as well, just like him. I'm all about virtues and value systems.
John Carver? Carver. Oh, I think you mentioned John Carver. No, sorry. John Calvin.
Oh, Calvin.
Yes.
Oh. Mayo.
Lady. Go on. I like that. Go on. Say.
Oh, she naked. Mayo doesn't even know who is John Calvin.
Well, if anyone knows who John Calvin is out there, tell me, because I don't know who that is.
Hey,
so, do you know? If you know, let me know.
She naked. You don't know who John Calvin is?
I don't know, sir. Who else knows? No one knows.
She naked. If you don't know John Calvin, then you don't know anybody here out of all these lists.
Well, I know Dr. Sandey.
Anyway, don't worry. Let me talk. Let me answer your question. You want me to talk about John Calvin?
Yes.
Okay.
Who's John Calvin?
But thank God you made that mistake. That is good in everything. Because you had said John Carver instead of John Calvin. So, but because you had made my mistake, let me add to the list of my contemporaries. I'm going to give you another list, and that list is George Washington Carver.
Yeah, I hear you say that a lot.
Yeah, George Washington Carver is another one of my heroes.
Okay.
I will keep on giving you names. Not my heroes, but people I learn from, where I see myself. I see myself in him. Okay, let's go about John Calvin now. John Calvin is the person that has attempted to use the biblical teachings of Jesus Christ and build it into country. He's trying to adopt the teachings of the Lord Jesus Christ in nation building.
Okay.
To use the principles of the Bible to build a righteous nation. Now, let me tell you what. John Calvin is the man that created the modern Geneva and Switzerland. He was the ruler of Geneva for a long time. He is the one that he's a Frenchman, but because they were being persecuted for their faith in France, he moved to Switzerland, like many people moved from England. Catholicism was, persecuting a lot of them, and he moved to Geneva and became the leader of he's as significant as Martin Luther. You know Martin Luther, the one that is the leader of Reformation. Germany. The second man in Reformation was John Calvin. But the difference between Martin Luther and John Calvin is that Martin Luther brought about Reformation to the church worldwide, like teaching, like I'm doing right now. But in the case of John Calvin, he didn't just teach it, but he became like the mayor of Geneva, like the governor, and actually executed all this teaching into industry, into medicine, into government, into running of city, and build the modern Geneva, or that later transformed into Switzerland that we know today. So where do I see myself in him? I see myself as a nation builder. My teachings, if you notice very well, they are not just theory talking about God, but my teachings could be practicalized to build society and every sphere of society. That is what I've learned from from John Calvin. There are a lot of areas there I don't agree with him, but I've also learned from him. He's one of my contemporaries or my heroes where I see myself in. That's who I see myself in.
Thank you, sir. So only one person said they know about John Calvin. I think everybody else does as well. Uchechi said that he knows, and he's written about it as well. So guys, I've learned two things since this session started. Conspicuous. Do you remember that? Conspicuous. I will never forget that. And furthermore, today, I will never forget John Calvin, another reformer from...
John Calvin is the one that started this kind of Protestant churches, like the Church of England, for example. Not started it, but what they call the Presbyterian movement. They are all his disciples. Presbyterians, Church of Scotland. They are more like the Church of England, similar, but all the people who believe in, it's like most of the belief system that we have in Christianity today, they are all coming from John Calvin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So the next person, we might as well talk about George Washington Carver.
Okay, I just mentioned that one now.
Yeah, we'll finish it.
George Washington Carver was a man of God. But a man of God that walked with God. Not religious, but he was walking with God. He walked with God so much that God will speak to him about how to make inventions, about plants, about peanuts, about groundnuts, about weeds. And he will tell him about the composition of those weeds and how to make invention. He started using those knowledge, those talk with God and walk with God and friendship with God to become the greatest inventor of his age. And then what he invented saved the economy of America because he walked with God. He got understanding to have witty inventions. I see myself with him as somebody like who just is friendly with God, but not necessarily being religious, just walking with God and talking with God, hearing God, and through the leading of God, hearing God's voice, did great things and changed a whole nation. That's how I see myself. I don't see myself as a religious person. I see myself as a friend of God and a carrier of God. That through the friendship with God is going to change his world.
Okay, good. Let's go to philosophers. So, Aristotle?
Aristotle. Aristotle is regarded as the father of philosophy. And what I like about him is that he taught principles. And he showed me example. I will not say his colleague, but he showed me how ideas could be developed to change the world. So he's the one I learned from to develop my ideas into concepts and into ideas and concepts that are being put in books so that they would lead. He is one person that taught me how not to live and die and be forgotten. That's why I see him as my contemporary. He's someone that thinks like me.
That's interesting. Not to live and die and be forgotten.
You are talking about Aristotle?
Yeah. He taught you not to live, die, and be forgotten.
Yes.
Interesting. Coming back. Okay, another philosopher we could... Plato. Or Plato.
Plato. Actually, Socrates is another one, right?
Yes.
Socrates is the one most people regard as the father of philosophy. But if you talk about father of philosophy, maybe Socrates number one, then Aristotle, and then Plato. So there are three of them. Okay. Now, so we are talking about Aristotle. Yeah. Now, we want me to talk about Plato.
Yes, please.
Now, talking about Plato, Plato taught me, and why I see myself as his contemporary, is that he taught me to live. He taught me the lesson, and I'm copying him in this, that nobody is a success without successors. He started a school where he was raising up disciples. And he raised up so many disciples that he couldn't die. He would never die. Plato would never die. Because he reimplanted himself. He reproduced himself in other people. He built a whole industry and a whole factory and a whole system of duplicating himself. And today, if anybody knows Pastor Sandey is an expert in reproducing himself. Plato is my model in that sense.
Okay, so we move on to Socrates.
Socrates.
People like me when I make mistakes. So
Socrates.
We move on to Socrates.
Okay, Socrates, you said that?
They're laughing at me. Right. What is it? Socrates.
Yes.
I'm English, and I still can't pronounce Socrates.
Yes.
Socrates. Okay.
Socrates, who's the father of philosopher, taught me to have analytical thinking. He's the one who is my model in asking questions. Anybody who knows me will know that I love questions, and I love to ask a question and to ask questions as well. Socrates is a master in questioning everything. And anybody that knows me, you know about my analytical thinking, about my questionings, about my questions. And that's one of the most important things in life. Socrates is my model in that sense. I see myself in him.
Okay. Should we finish philosophy with Voltaire?
Voltaire. That's my love.
Let me say, I pronounced that okay. Voltaire. Okay.
Voltaire. Voltaire is my future. I'm living right now I'm living with right now I'm in the stage of Voltaire. I'm living with my passion. My next stage of ministry and life is the Voltaire stage. So for me, that is very emotional. It gets me excited because my next move is going to be to Africa, and I must do what Voltaire has done in Europe, in Africa. What has Voltaire done?
Yes, please.
Voltaire, I will say, is the man that probably has single-handedly destroyed religion, superstition, and superstitions, and depending on miracles. Living to depend on miracles. It destroyed it from Europe. Europe just used to be like like Africa before. Europe used to be the same thing like Africa, depending on miracles and looking for supernatural in everything, believing in superstitions and all kind of things, not living real life. Well, Voltaire destroyed and uprooted all that from Europe. And that is what my goal. That's where I'm going in Africa. By the way, while I'm talking about Voltaire, I remember another one where I see another person, Isaac Newton, write that as well. That I see myself in him. And Thomas Edison as well. But tell people to go and share. Meanwhile, I will continue to talk about Voltaire. I want to talk some more things about Voltaire.
Hello guys, this is pure history lesson, and it's not just a history lesson, it's also future as well. And the secret, this is a key for everyone. This particular video or program today, it's the key. If you want to duplicate yourself to be like Dr. Sandey, here is the secret, I think. Because when you know about all these people, you study them, you understand them like he does, then you can also duplicate yourself in your own way. So go for it. This is a very important session that we're having. I'm privileged that you're joining me, and I'm here to listen to all this, and also that it's recorded. So hippie, guys, please share so that other people can benefit from this wisdom, this understanding, and they can have it in their logs, in their Facebook forever, so that they will be able to learn at their own pace as well when they're ready.
They should share publicly.
Share publicly and share with individuals. So invite your friends, please. Thank you. So today's lesson we'll learn what? What did I learn? Yeah, can anyone remind me? Yeah, I know. Socrates. I remember. Okay. Previously I learned conspicuous. So 2 words. What did you learn? That's true. So let me read some comments. That's true. Europe also went through seasons of this dark age too. That's Euphoma saying that.
Who went?
Europe. Euphoma is agreeing with you that Europe also went through the dark ages of superstition. So thank you, Adafe, for sharing. Good evening, everyone, says Anastasia. Okay. Joke said English no be your language, so mistake is allowed. Thank you very much, Joke, but mistakes are not allowed because I can learn. I live in England for most of my life, so no excuse, but I appreciate that warm hand. Thank you. Oh, somebody says, Pastor, you're teaching like Socrates. Socrates. Oh, I forget it. Socrates. Hello, everyone. Pastor, that covers everything you need to know about heaven and earth. This is the...
What?
This says that, Pastor, that covers everything you need to know about heaven and earth. D, I'm not sure what D is saying, but... D, clarify. My best mentor, that's Jake, is now calling me my best mentor. No one is successful without successors. The essay quote. Thanks, Pastor Sandey. We are all learning from you. You're a carrier of God wisdom. That's Joker saying. Creative ideas and concept development. Not to live, die, and be forgotten. That's your quote again. Monica has written. And we are always learning with Pastor Sandey. Yes, D. Calvinism. Okay. MA is saying that there's a Calvinism. I think that's about John Calvin. I won't forget Calvin now, MA. So, good evening, everyone is saying. I'm happy to be here, Joke is saying. Howdy from Texas, blessings. Hello, Evan. John Calvin was a reformer leader in Switzerland. Yes, Uche. George Washington Carver. This Moses will not die in Jesus' name. Has got a lot to do.
What Moses?
That's you, I guess.
I shouldn't die, eh?
He will die eventually, and he said already he's looking forward to death. So
they don't want me to die because I've got a lot to do.
Yes. Chiwe Semayowa, you made DSA speak in Igbo language. Okay, Charles Smith says, once saved, forever saved. Calvin. I don't know if that's a quote from Calvin.
No, that's a belief system.
Okay, that's a belief system, okay. D, I can see you laughing at me. I thought about that too concerning you, DSA. Sadly, every Moses dies, yes. Excellent, great, sir. I'm on board. Wow. We're really enjoying it, enlightening. That's Oluwada Rasimi saying that. Yes, Satama Maiwa, we're enjoying this, my dear. Thank you, Monica. Frank, good evening. Good evening. Davida, good evening. You should know by now that PSA is thorough in Maiwa. Lord, please, God bless you. Monica, yes. Yes, I do. Good evening, everyone. Okay. All right, so are you ready?
Well, just a minute. Let me see.
Okay, guys. Please share as Dr. Sandey is going to be a minute. And also our DSA Golden Jubilee, guys. Well done for what you're doing so far, but we need more hands on deck. So please, guys, one thing that you need to do that I've observed from your posts is that they're only available to friends to view. So can you change your post to public, please? Because we want the public to know him, not just our friends, everybody in the world. So the best way for this campaign to be effective is that you post with your post public, not just to friends. Yeah, please. So that's one thing I just want to remind us.
Yep.
And don't forget to post every hour. Okay? All right, so let's go.
I was looking for it in the wrong notes. Okay. I want to read out my mission statement on my going to Africa, my personal commitment. And I don't know if I should share this publicly or not.
Sure.
Because talking about Voltaire, that's why I'm going to talk about this. Voltaire said something. Okay, let me not use this word. Let me use my word. But these are not words that I've given out publicly. These are just for myself. I wrote this for myself. Like in Europe, we must declare war against superstitions, intolerance, and idol worshipping. Religious superstitions, craze about miracles, and bring people to a place of common sense. That is what Voltaire did for Europe. And that's why I see my next stage of life as the Voltaire. I must be the Voltaire of Africa. To uproot superstitions, to destroy intolerance to people and to religion, to uproot idol worshipping, and to stop the craze about running after miracles and bring people to a place of common sense. Number 2, quotation from me as well. Until Africa undergoes Renaissance. Have you heard of Renaissance before?
Yes.
The father of Renaissance is Voltaire. And what is Renaissance is when people stop living in the dark ages and came to light. Renaissance is enlightenment. The father, the philosopher behind Renaissance is Voltaire. That's what I want to go and do in Africa. I want to change the value system. You've been hearing me talking about value system, changing value system in Africa. That is what Voltaire did. Now, why I say people should not crucify me is that Voltaire was not a Christian like me, or like a preacher like me, or but he did the work. We have the same mandate. That's why I see myself in him. So until Africa undergoes Renaissance, like in Italy, Reformation, like in Germany, and Voltaire, as in France, we are going, until we begin to think like the Renaissance Europe, we are going nowhere as a continent. We will remain the dark continent. That is what I said as well. So I am going to lead a revolution of changing the mindset of people. And that's why I will talk about Isaac Newton as the next person, who is my hero, and the person I see myself as modeling. Isaac Newton is the one that discovered the law of motions and the So the 3 laws of motion, and that law, those laws of motion, they are not being. We don't live until we in Africa and my continent make sure that we transform into every aspect of life, and until we make sure that we are. Okay, there is a philosopher that says that weak people believe in miracles and chance. They just believe in chance and miracles. Who said that? Slabi Ludiveri Abudashi. Waldo Emerson is an American writer. Waldo Emerson Ralph Waldo Emerson said, Ralph Waldo Emerson, yes, he said that weak people believe in chance and in luck and in things like that, but strong people believe in cause and effect. So, and you cannot believe in cause and effect without Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton he was a believer. He changed the world to make us to know that God has already provided everything here. He has already given us God's laws, that everything is answerable to laws. And that's why you hear me teach a lot about laws rather than about miracles. Because until there is no development, no society will ever be developed without understanding that life is based on laws. And cause and effect is what rules the world, not miracles. But the person who actually brought that revelation to the world is Isaac Newton. And that's why he's my hero and he's my model. But the person who actually brought it into practice in Europe, and Europe was the first continent to attain this height. That's why their civilization is the one we're all following. Is Voltaire. He's the philosopher behind changing Europe from superstitious society, intolerant society, to the society of the enlightened that later on brought industrialization and civilization to the whole world. That's what I want to do for my continent, Africa. Wow. So I've talked about two philosophers right there. Wow. Do you want me to talk about which one of my heroes again do you want me to talk about? So I see my contemporaries in that. Can you imagine all these great people that I'm talking about right now? Compare them to people who are living today. I don't see anybody who is my colleague today. I don't see anybody who is my contemporary. I see my contemporaries as people there, as these people that I'm mentioning. These are my contemporaries. These are the people that make me to... I see myself in them. I see them in myself. I'm excited around them. I read about them. I'm excited. I feel alive. I wake up. I want to live. I think I can change mind with them. But with people who are living today, I'm sorry. I don't want to put anybody down. But this is just the way I'm feeling. I just share in my... You want to know? So I'm sharing my mind.
Interesting.
But you have not asked me about the Christians, about the other, because I've mentioned Christians there too.
Yes.
Apart from Martin Luther King and Martin Luther King Jr.
The Christians you mentioned. Let's see. Or a robot? Is he a Christian?
The first list I gave you.
Yes.
You don't know who is Ora Roberts?
No, not really.
Okay, Ora Roberts just died recently. He lived almost at the same time like us. I've learned from him, and I so much like him because he's the first one to bring the gospel to the television in America. And also he's the first one to understand that you can unite Christianity, faith, with medicine. And he was one of the leaders of Pentecostal and charismatic movement of the in our generation. You have you heard of Oral Roberts University?
Yes.
That's the man now.
Okay.
He's the first one to build that kind of charismatic university. So I like his boldness. I like his spirit. He's a great speaker and orator.
Okay. What about Bill Graham?
Bill Graham?
Yeah.
You don't know who is Bill Graham?
I do.
Okay.
I know he's a Christian, so that's why I'm mentioning him.
Bill Graham is not a Christian. Bill Graham is the greatest evangelist alive right now, and he's still alive. And the reason why I see myself in him and I could learn from him is that Bill Graham was able to walk easily as a preacher into the corridors of power, and able to, he's been familiar and friendly with all American presidents, and all American presidents since the 50s always go to him to receive blessings, and all of them called him their mentor. So he didn't have to change his belief system. He didn't have to change his values. He didn't have to change his status, and he remained, the mentor of presidents, remaining the same person who he is. So that's why I'm not shy about being a Christian and about who I am, and that I'm a Christian, I'm a preacher, yet I'm able to penetrate to every sphere of life without compromising my belief system. That's what I learned from Bill Graham.
Sorry. So, these people are having a go at me. Paul, which one do I know? I don't know anyone. Paul, that's why I'm here. I'm here to learn. Paul, someone having a go at me because I'm not sure you know either. Okay, so I would really like if you could talk about the characteristic of Castro, Fidel Castro.
Of Fidel Castro?
Yes.
Fidel Castro, despite all the attitude about the condemnation and hatred for Fidel Castro, especially from Christians. Christians believe that, you know who is Fidel Castro, right?
Yes.
Okay, who is he?
Is the leader in Cuba.
Yes,
yes.
He's the founding father of the modern Cuba.
Yes.
And he's their revolutionary leader.
Excuse me, Paul. I know that. Yes. Fidel Castro. I just answered. There you go. Sorry.
So Fidel Castro just died recently.
Yes.
And the reason why I like Fidel Castro and why I feel that I don't like him, I don't like a lot of the things he did, but I could learn from him, is that Fidel Castro was born into a wealthy and rich family, but he turned his back at his wealth, at his family, at all the riches of he could live, the bourgeoisie life, he could live the multimillionaire life, but he went and associated himself with the ordinary peasants and poor people and led a revolution. He used the money of the father to lead the revolution against the rich and eradicated the class of people, rich and poor, and became the leader to build a country that is of equal rights. Now, we know a lot of things are not right there, but today, the medicine in Cuba is more developed than in America. Today, everybody has equal right to education, to free medical services, to free education, than in America. They have better social services, even though it's one of the poorest countries, but it's one of also the most developed in bringing a country that was at the very verge of, civilization, to bring them to even higher, even their sportsmen, they are doing better than even America. So that's a small country that is just a few millions of people. And, they are rating in a lot of areas higher than some of the most developed countries in the world because of one man. Yeah. Who would not just enjoy his own life, but live for the ordinary people. I want to live for ordinary people also. That's why I think I'm similar with him.
Interesting. Okay, who do we have before I turn? Let me turn to myself. Guys, I can see what you're writing. We've got a few minutes, so I'm not going to joke right now. That I know Tony Blair, whoever wrote that. Okay, the Wesley brothers. So yes. Can you talk about them, please?
Yeah, John Wesley. I'm sure you heard about John Wesley.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, I have, sir.
Okay, John Wesley.
Christian.
They are Christians?
Yes.
Okay. The Wesley brothers, especially John Wesley, they are the ones who started the Methodist denomination, Methodist Church. There is a church they call Methodist Church. So they are the ones who funded it. But what I've learned from them and what has inspired me in them is that they have brought system and methods into the service of God. In their days, most people just serve God and just in the spirit, emotions and spirituality. But they were very methodical. They brought system, methods, order, and put everything in structure and order. That even the move of God could be orderly, because God is a God of order. That is what I love from them. And that's why I see myself, because I learned that and I try to do that with my own life as well. And ministry.
Oh, okay. You mentioned somebody called Moody.
Yes.
Can you talk about Moody? Because I don't know who Moody is. I don't know who Moody is. Who knows who Moody is?
There is a Moody Institute in Chicago.
Yeah.
Because that's where he started his ministry and did a lot of the work he did. Moody was an evangelist, an American evangelist. And that, but what I like about him is that he was able not just to live, but through Moody Institute, which is one of the most authoritative institutes in Christianity to do research about the existence of God and about the relevance of faith in our lives today. So he's one of the most authoritative, he's still living. Moody is still living around us because he didn't just live and died as an evangelist, but he's living hundreds of, tens, decades and maybe 100 years after he himself has died. So the same way, I want to live for ages to come. I want to set a system in place that will allow me to live many more years after I've gone. So Moody, his passion, he was able to preserve his passion to save people, to preach the Christ. He's still preaching today, even though decades ago he's died, but he's still preaching and living today. And so you've heard me talk about living 300 years.
Yes.
So he was able to set up a system like that. He was able to put a mechanism in place to make him keep on living and keep on doing the same thing he was doing when he was alive up to today. That's what I got from Moody. And I'm going to do the same thing.
John Hughes.
John Hughes. Hughes is Jan Hughes, they call him. Jan Hughes. Yeah, you could say John Hughes.
Okay. Okay. I said John Hughes, but Pastor just corrected me. That is Jan.
Yeah,
Hughes.
Jan is because it's from Czechoslovakia.
Okay,
Jan. Or from Germany. Somebody very close to that language. Okay. Jan Hughes is someone that went to the stake. He allowed himself to be burned on the stake because he would not change and compromise his faith. They executed him by burning him on stake. And he was the one who was right. And he would say, I would rather go. They said, no, we don't want to burn you. It was one of the rectors of a university. He was one of the most authoritative Christians in the world. He was one of the brightest human beings alive. But when he was asked to compromise his faith, he refused to. He said, I would rather want to. He said, this is where I stand. I will not change my position. If this is the way I will go, let it be. But I would rather go. They tied him to the stake and set him ablaze. So that kind of person is what I want to be. I'm a dead man. And because of him, I see myself as the same. I'm not being afraid of death. I'm ready to go and sacrifice myself. So I'm going to Nigeria to sacrifice myself. I'm sacrificing my life willingly. I want to die like John Hughes. I want to die like Jan Hughes with pride and say, here I stand. I will not bend. Even if you want to bomb me, let the Lord take my spirit. So that kind of ruggedness is what I've learned from Jan Hughes, and is my hero, and I want to be like him in that sense.
Wow. Guys, it's almost over for today, this evening. If
you want, we can continue.
Yes, I think we should, so that we can just finish this one. This is the only question that
Kate,
I asked today.
Even Kate is willing to continue.
Yeah. So we will continue, if you don't mind. But before we do, guys, please share this. And also, if you don't know about the Nigerian Transformation Project, please go on Dr. Sandey Adelaja's blog, which is sundayadelajablog.com/Nigeria. All the information you need to know is on that website and is in detail. So please go to www.sundayadelajablog.com. So let's continue. So you mentioned John, it's not John, Lenin. So is it Lenin or Lenin? I wasn't sure who.
Vladimir Lenin.
Okay, so you know Lenin. Okay.
Vladimir Lenin is an ungodly man. Okay. He's an evil man. Vladimir Lenin is the man that did revolution in Russia. Have you ever heard of the socialist communism?
Yes.
He's the one that brought communism to Russia.
Okay.
He's the one that caused revolution in Russia. But so why should I say I'm learning from him? Mm-hmm. Why should I say I see myself in him? I see the reason is because a man was able to change a whole country. He was able to change the fundamentals, the whole structure. The whole world used to just know capitalism before, the whole world. But this man was able to bring his idea and use it to change and reconstruct the whole country. And half of the world followed him. I want to be such a man that will be able to bring my ideas to make half of the world follow those ideas. all the socialist, communist countries you used to hear about, this man started everything. And he was their hero. China, right now, is the biggest country in the world. They are still practicing communism. North Korea, Cuba, all the Eastern European countries, all these countries were, all of this happened because of one man. A man that is capable to communicate his ideas in such a powerful way that the whole world will follow him after him. Not like Hitler, it's only Germany that followed him, and only for a short time. But his ideas survived for 70 years. And the whole world was about to follow. One man had such a power of communication and entrenching ideas into people's psychology, into people's mind. That is like a personality like Jesus. Jesus changed the history of the world. And this man changed the history. I want to be able to change the history of the world for Jesus like that. I want to, if a man could be like Lenin, to start a movement that made the whole world to follow, I want in my own life to start a movement that made the whole world to follow after Jesus. And I'm going to do it.
Wow. Guys, I don't know if you've noted something from this conversation today, is that Dr. Sandey is not just using the positive people in society, even though some of the people haven't done so well in terms of values, but he's using them and turning it around, using their attributes in a positive way. So that's really interesting to me because, I've been brought up, or I've been told that look up at examples of positive people, good people that have done good things. And I don't look at bad people at all. I just look at them as though they're bad. But it's using what they have, the characteristics that they have, to turn things around. And, that's really interesting for me.
Are they copying? Are they sharing?
Yes, I hope you guys are sharing. Please share as we're going along. We're going a little bit over time today, but I think it's good that we complete this topic today. So there's a John Gilek.
John G. Lake.
G. Lake.
John G.
G. Lake.
Like God. Lake, like ocean, lake.
John G. Lake. I'll change that.
John Lake.
John Lake.
Yes, he's a man that was an American missionary to South Africa, and he was one of the first Pentecostals that used faith to produce incredible healings. He's the one that saw what was the name of this town in America, in Washington State? There is a town there that he founded, or that he brought so much healing to. This is the man that had the most recorded healing, documented healing in the history of humanity. He healed people by faith, and he has the most documented healings. He was a prophet of healing. Not this kind of headache healing where I experience it today, and we are making a lot of noise about them. But he worked in real healing power of God. He was a friend. But what I admired about him is not just that he worked in healing and he performed so much healing. He was a friend of God. I mean, for example, one time this man was in South Africa and he was seen. He was in South Africa by himself praying. While he was praying in the spirit, he walked into a hospital in Ireland. And people saw him there. And he was still on the stage in South Africa praying. And he walked into the room in Ireland, cast out demons from the person, and came back in the spirit. I mean, this was a man that at the time when people were dying of plague, there was this plague. This time the plague breaks out. He would go to the hospital and say that, pour the cancer, put the plague, the bacteria. He will go to the sick person and say that let the person put the blood on my hand, or let the bacteria cough the bacteria into my. And this was a plague that even if you are in the same room, 3 meters or 100 meters away, if 500 meters away, you're already sick. You're already a dead man. So everybody that is about to die, he will go and say, bring them to me. He will stand in the midst of them, and then he will call doctors and say, you doctors, take out make experiment, put your, what do you call it? whatever you use to see.
Microscope.
Microscope. Use your microscope. You see the bacteria, they are alive on the dead, on the people who are dying right now. Put them on my mind. As soon as they get to my body, put them anywhere in my body, they will die. And as soon as those bacteria who are causing death to everybody else get to him, they get to his body, they will die. They begin to die in him. And they will go to all those sick people, begin to raise them. I mean, he pray for them. When he raises, puts his hand on those bacteria, all the bacteria begin to die, and the sick people who are on the deathbed begin to wake up. So this is a man of real, genuine faith, not the small deliverance we are talking about today. So this faith inspires me. But what inspires me most is his walk with God. He was a friend of God. I want to know God like that.
Someone you mentioned Fox.
Fox.
Yeah.
Fox is the man that started the Quakers. You call them Quakers. There is a movement in America, you call the Quakers. They were from England before. He started a movement there. You remember the Queen of England? Was it Victoria? The bloody, was it Bloody Victoria?
Mary.
Mary, the Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
And then Victoria, during the time of Mary and Victoria, when was it Henry?
Henry
the fifth or the fourth, the one that all those things, horrible things were happening in England. When Mary, the Bloody Mary was there, they were killing people, and he was starting his own movement. They put him in prison like 100 times. They tried to stop him, but he started a movement that swept all over Great Britain. And because of his movement, the Quakers, now we call them as, they are like in Philadelphia, and they are living their own lives in seclusive areas. But in the time when they were there, they were the greatest revival movement that shook the whole of England. And when France was going through revolution, because of the revival that was hitting England, the revolution couldn't get to England, because people were rather going to church rather than going to revolution. They were killing them, they were persecuting them, just like they are persecuting me in Ukraine now. But they are not putting me in prison. But in his own place, we are putting him in prison like 100 times, and in a year even. And then his people were being killed, put outside. All the religious freedom we're enjoying in England, in Europe today, most of them are thanks to John Fox. So he was able to survive the intense and severe persecution and stand for God and change a whole direction of a nation and save the country from socialist revolution, thanks to the revival movement that he brought. It changed. That is the kind of man I want to be. Don't just be a pastor and be in the country and nobody knows I'm here, but be able to change and to the left and breadth and north and south of a country and change the whole country, and the whole government and all the establishment will not be able to stop it. That's the kind of whatever we're talking about. That's where Fox is one of my heroes that I see as my contemporary.
There's another one I haven't heard before. So if you want to laugh at my expense, please do. Okay? Right. Who is Wycliffe, or is it Wycliffe?
Wycliffe.
Wycliffe.
Wycliffe is the first reformer, Protestant reformer that they have in England. He was a professor in Oxford, I think. And then he was, even though he was a professor, but because when you become born again that time, and everybody persecutes you, they thought he was an heretic. He was the first person to translate Bible to English language. Wycliffe is the first person to ever translate the Bible to English. He was the most brilliant mind in England at that time, in his time. He translated Bible to English language, but more than that, he wanted to change the mindset and the value system of our country. So what did he do? He started discipling people, raising his students in Oxford, and started sending them all over. They call them lallads or something. Started going barefooted, on foot, to crisscrossing the whole of England to just teach people Bible. Because those days you couldn't read the Bible only in Latin, and very few people were educated in England. So he translated it to English language, and people couldn't read. So he would take his own students from Oxford to go all over to every village and every town to teach, to read the Bible to people and teach them to understand what God was saying, and to change them from their, traditions and their sin and their superstition and the ungodly way and religious way into real Christianity. That is Wycliffe for you. You own a lot of Wycliffe. It was banned and it was condemned by the government, by the Roman Catholic Church, and by the government of England. They banned him, then later on they celebrated him. They 200 years after he died, I think they went and exhumed his body, and all kind of horrible things happened to him, but he survived. I mean, he died as a persecuted somebody, but he didn't give up his faith. And thanks to that revolution, that's why England is Protestant today, thanks to people like Wycliffe.
Okay, why we
England would have been Catholic.
Okay. Why we on the W? Whitfield.
Whitfield. Whitfield. That's Whitfield.
Yes.
That Wycliffe was the first one.
Yes.
And this is Whitfield.
Yes.
George Whitfield was the most eloquent speaker that I think has ever lived. This man will be preaching and people will be falling down from trees. People will be climbing trees to go and listen to him preach. 100,000 people with that microphone in England and in America. He is the one, Wycliffe is the one that made America, not Wycliffe, Whitfield is the one that made America to be Protestant today. Jonathan Edwards is his disciple. And Jonathan Edwards is the father of the American Protestantism or revivalism. But Whitfield is the one that brought revival to America. America would not have been a Christian country that it is, or a Protestant nation, if not for Whitfield. One man that single-handedly changed England and went to America and converted the whole country to Protestantism. Strong men, just by speaking. But they were contemporaries with the Wesley brothers. And Wesley brothers, they had system. So that's why you could still have Methodist Church today. But Wycliffe was just a speaker. But just by speaking, it changed the fundamentals of nations. I want to be like them. They are my contemporaries and my heroes.
George Finney.
George Finney.
Yes.
George Finney. George Finney is the person that is also a terrific ambassador. Evangelist. He's the evangelist that will preach so much that all the bars in the city will close. Restaurants and hotels will close down. So George Finney is the kind of guy that will preach so strong, he's the guy that started doing altar calls. These altar calls that we practice now, he's the one that started it. Before him, people were not doing altar calls. It caused a whole half of the America to become Protestants. He was a wonderful evangelist. I like his fire.
Okay.
And his dynamism.
Someone is saying it's Charles Finney.
Charles Finney, yes.
Okay, I've got George.
It's Charles Finney.
Thank you, Charles, just because it's your name. Thank you.
Charles Finney, yes.
Okay. Nigerian, Awolowo.
Yes.
Yes.
Awolowo is my countryman. I think he's the greatest mind, political mind, and the most disciplined politician that Africa has ever raised. At least Nigeria has ever raised. Awolowo is such a huge revolutionary that it was first in everything. Can you imagine that when Awolowo was alive, when he was the governor, he was only like not governor, we could say governor of the western part of Nigeria just for 6 years. For 6 years, this man was competing with Europe. Can you imagine that during the time of Awolowo, Nigeria was ahead of countries, or most countries of Europe. Only a few countries were ahead of Nigeria in a lot of things. When Awolowo was alive, France was not having television, and Nigeria was already having. We had television before France had television. We had television before Scandinavian countries had television. We had television before many countries of Europe had television, before most countries of Europe had television. when there was many countries of Europe were not having Olympic-sized stadium, this man built it in Nigeria. This man brought television to Nigeria before it came to Europe, most countries of Europe. This man was able to build skyscraper when it was not known in Africa. This man was able to do so many things. He was building industrial places. He gave free education to all his regions. And people like me, I'm a beneficiary of that free education. And when Nigeria was having our civil war with Biafra, it was because of one man, Awolowo, that Nigeria never went to bankruptcy. And we never even borrowed 1 naira. We never borrowed $1. There is no country in the world that goes to war without borrowing. We never to prosecute the war. Nigeria never borrowed 1 naira because of his mind. He was such a superior man that Gowon, who was the president of the country, had to call on him to come and deliver the country. He had made him the head of the Economic Council, which was like the prime minister, so that he would bring his, and it was the single reason why Biafra lost the war. Up to today, most of the Biafra people hate Awolowo because he is the one that that came up with the program to suffocate the Biafra to surrender. So Awolowo, but that's not why I like him. But why I like him is that he brought revolution and change to every area of Nigeria. In 6 years, he was able to do for the western part of Nigeria what the whole federal government in 50 years had not been able to do. In 6 years only. For example, can you imagine when he became the premier, they used to call it that time, maybe there was only about 1,000 schools in the whole of Western Nigeria. By the time he left 6 years later, what they were having maybe like 20,000 schools. So it was just maybe they had just like 100,000 students. By the time he left, they were having like 6 million students in schools. So he's the one who built University of Ife. He's the one who built the Premier Hotel in Ibadan. He's the one who built the Cocoa House. He had, in fact, they had so much abundance just from producing coconut, groundnut, timber, and cocoa. They had so much more abundance than and more wealth in western part of Nigeria than we're having from oil. That man is a genius of his own. He was so disciplined. Despite the fact that in Nigeria, in Yoruba land of his time, everybody was marrying 2, 3, 4 wives. He was the only part. And as a chief, you must marry more than one wife. He was a chief, he was a governor, he was a premier, but he stood against it. He's the one who coined the phrase that his wife is his jewel of what do they call it? Immeasurable, inestimable value. That's from him. My jewel of inestimable value. That's his own statement. That's how he calls his wife. And he's the one who started a new order of not being faithful to your wife, of marrying just one man. He was a man of integrity and excellence and values par excellence to the end. You just be faithful to one man. No second wife, no third wife. And since that, the Yoruba elite started having the boldness to keep the one wife. Normally, it should be everybody in the family will be begging you to take second wife, third wife, but he paved a new path for Yoruba people and Nigerians as a whole. And he was always praising the wife. Normally, wives sit at home in Yoruba land or in Africa, but he will put his wife on the stage. He will praise him, to praise her, call her jewel, call her of inestimable value. Praise. People have never met things like, they have never seen things like that. And he was always very disciplined. The English people used to say, we are always intimidated to meet Awolowo because of his high standards of excellence. Nobody can defeat him. That if we will allow Awolowo to become the president of Nigeria, that we cannot allow Awolowo to become president of Nigeria. If he becomes the president of Nigeria, that Nigeria is going to be rivaling the whole world. We will not be able to control Nigeria anymore. So let's make the Northerners become the ruler of Nigeria. It was bringing intimidation to anybody. He was so disciplined. is disciplined, he will never waste a minute or a second. And I want to go and continue his work when I go back to Nigeria.
Oh. So you've only got one Nigerian. So anyone else that is Nigerian that you could think of? Because it would be nice. I really enjoy this Awolowo one.
I could talk about Babalola.
Okay.
They call him Apostle Babalola. He's the one that started CAC movement.
Okay.
And I like his ruggedness in obeying the Lord. He was a truck driver, or he was a tractor driver when God appeared to him and called him to the ministry, and he never stopped after that. He just went, he was confronting, he was going to idol worshipping cities. He would go to shrines and confront them. He would go to cities where they have the greatest demons and the greatest idols. He would go there by himself and pull them down. He would go to palaces and turn them to Christians. So he was not talking about deliverance, the one they do in churches. So he was doing his own deliverances in the shrines. He would go to the strongholds of, of principalities and powers of evil. And he's the one who cleansed Yoruba land of idol worshiping, single-handedly, that man. So Babalola, today, if you make a list of 100 top preachers in Nigeria, 50% of them will be Yoruba. If we talk about 10 top ministers in Nigeria, out of that 10, 8 of them will be Yoruba. That's all thanks to Babalola. It brought the revival movement to our age, to the western part of Nigeria and Nigeria as a whole.
Smith.
What's
There's a Smith that you have.
Smith Wigglesworth.
Yeah.
Wigglesworth.
Okay.
Smith Wigglesworth is an Englishman. I think he was living in Brighton. No, not Brighton. Braddon or whatever, something B like that. Braddon or Brad. Anyway, something. I think that's the place where the Oladisu, their town where they were living before, where their church was in. The El Shaddai Church used to be in that city where they started from. Anyway, so this man was a man of great faith. He got to be born again later on, maybe close to his 40s. Thanks to his wife, Bradford, yes. That's
said he was a plumber. Somebody
yes, he was a plumber that got saved in his 40s. But he believed God so much. He's the man that has raised the most people from the dead. I think he's raised over 20 people from the dead. So he was a man of rugged faith. He was not an educated man, but he was a man that was friendly with God. He's the one who said, I never pray more than 15 minutes, but 15 minutes never passes without me praying. Because he was working with God every minute almost. And he believed in every word of the word. He never read newspapers. He never read anything. He was only reading the Bible. He was not educated, but what he lacked in education, he had in faith. He had his faith was so rugged. He's the one that will punch somebody with cancer, and the cancer will just disappear. He's the one that will, he was also arrested many times, but he had recorded many more miracles than most human beings that has ever lived.
Okay. This is interesting.
So faith inspires me.
Okay. So you haven't mentioned any female. You haven't mentioned any other Africans other than Nigerian.
If you want, I can.
Please do.
Okay.
Because I'm feeling a bit inferior right now.
Okay. If to talk about female, I will talk about Maria Ether Woodworth. Maria Ether Woodworth was a woman that walked so close with God that she will be preaching here, and 100 meters, up to 1 kilometer or 5 kilometers from where people will be falling under the Spirit. So we are not talking about fake falling under the Spirit now that you push somebody. You don't need to lay hands on anybody in her own place. Where she's talking like this, 1 kilometer from where she's preaching, people will be falling under the Spirit. At a point, she was so much in the Spirit that she raised up her hand like this and stood there for 3 days with hand raised like this. And people thought she had lost consciousness. And no, they were coming to examine her, and she was just standing like this. Not sleeping, not closing her eyes. 3 days like this, standing like this, and the picture is still alive today. And she came back to herself 3 days later and continue preaching from the very statement that she stopped preaching 3 days ago. All city will follow that the anointing when she arrives. Speak. So she is somebody that walk with God. That's why I don't tolerate all the fake Christianity that we see today. That's why I don't tolerate, I don't like all the showmanship and the fake demonstration of spirituality. Let the real thing come. Let us talk about the real God to show up. When God really show up, we don't need to be doing all the magu that we are doing, or that all these charismatic Pentecostal churches are doing today. Just fooling people and taking their money. These were the real heroes. Another woman, another female was Macpherson. What's her name? Amy Macpherson. Amy Macpherson is another female that I would like to talk about. Amy Macpherson, to me, is a hero as a woman because she was married 3 times and she divorced all 3 times. And her husband died 1 time. But despite all of that, she showed me that men of God and women of God have frailties and weaknesses. But when we're sincere, when we're, open-hearted to God, she was so sincere with God. People will be condemning her, they will be calling her names, but God walked with her. Almost as strong as Maria Woodworth. She was a carrier of God. Despite her weakness, God started a denomination through her that is one of the greatest Christian denominations in the world today, and it was started by a woman. This is the only denomination that was started by a woman that is one of the greatest in the world. And despite all her divorces, despite all her problems with husbands and even Ethel Woodworth, she also had to marry twice. But despite all those challenges, these women, they showed me that God looks at the heart, not at your frailties or actions or imperfections. That God knows your imperfection and will still use you if you are sincere.
Interesting. Okay. What about anyone in Africa other than Nigeria? I have somebody in mind. So.
Mandela?
Yay!
Mandela is a great example for me. I like him. I love him. His endurance, patience, and long-suffering is legendary. So he's one of the people I really admire. Another person I will mention would be Michel, what's his name? Is it Michel, the former president of Mozambique that died? Is it Michel? Michel is the founder of the modern Mozambique. Michel, right? Somebody can write.
No, they're not writing.
Michel, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So that's another person that I really admire in Africa. Samora Machel, yes. Samora Machel, yes. So that's another person I could mention in Africa. Then another person I want to mention in Africa.
What did Samora Machel do?
He was a president. He was the president. He died in the airplane. But what I admire about him is that he was so committed to changing the destiny and the fortune of his people that he was committed to lifting up poverty. He was committed to eradicating poverty, ignorance, and and illiteracy in his people. He sacrificed what he went to war. He led the guerrilla war just to be able to attain this against the Portuguese. Another person in Africa that I will mention is Thomas Sankara. Thomas Sankara is the most revolutionary president from Guinea-Bissau, and is the only president in Africa that I know that understands what value system means, and is the one that really is is the most progressive African, I think, that unfortunately we lost because he was killed by one of his assistants, and he was murdered even though he was the president of Guinea-Bissau. Burkina Faso, I think it's Burkina Faso. Thomas Sankara. Sankara.
Right.
So I've mentioned a few Africans for you, and I've mentioned a few ladies for you too.
Yes. Yes. I think, guys.
You should be satisfied. Let's see the impression of people. Let's talk to people and hear what their opinions are.
I'm satisfied.
It will not be fair not to hear people's opinion today.
Yes, Katie. Yes, Katie.
Hello, everyone.
Wait.
Hi. Well, I've been really, really impressed. Really impressed because the depth of knowing those people in the history is not like what we are used to do. What we do when we read about their lives, we usually read about someone's life and think, okay, that was his life. Like we usually don't take lessons, and we don't take those people as examples. It's like they succeeded in something that they succeeded, and with sometimes, like I think, because I spoke to many people and on these topics, and they just think that, well, it was a person in the history, but it's not. It doesn't mean that we can do the same. He had some specific, conditions or something like this. But what I found that the pastor does, he mentioned that pastor mentioned that he had friends, that they were his friends. So it means that through their biography or through their books or works, pastor was building with them some kind of relationship, like, taking knowledge from them, taking lessons from them, taking advice from them, seeing their life as a lesson, and they were teachers. They were. When we say friend, it's not the same as teacher, because teacher is someone who just gives you knowledge. But when you say friend is someone who shares with you difficult moments, shares with you everything he goes through. He shares with you something that he doesn't share to other people. To say that someone was a friend, and those people were way long ago in the history, it means that when you are reviewing their lives and when you are studying their lives, you go beyond words. You are learning a little bit more than is written. You are learning what was the heart of the man, what was the heart of those people. So, and this is why I think Pastor was able to see the heart of Voltaire, and he was
remember Voltaire?
Yeah, because I heard many Christians. What I was reading about what Christians are thinking about Voltaire is that we shouldn't even listen to him, because you know what happened after he died. After he died, because he was saying the last Bible will be
He's not the one who said that.
But something happened with Voltaire as well.
But don't worry.
Yeah, I don't remember. So I remember that Christians, they were saying that, so that Voltaire, he got crazy and he was calling for God. But who? Something happened.
Sauter.
Okay.
Very similar.
Oh, okay.
Sauter.
Okay. So, but something was there with Voltaire. So I remember that Christians, they were saying something like bad, and that's why most of us Christians are not able to open our minds and go and check by ourselves, like what the person is, because person changed the history, person changed minds of millions of people. Why not getting closer to this person and finding out what this person has in his heart? And this is available because he has a lot of works. And this is one thing that I have I got today. Another thing is that, and also from the comments, what I saw is that many people were inspired to go and research about these people. And also I was inspired a lot. And
Who do you want to research?
well, I remember I was learning philosophy for some time ago, and I got across Kant, across Voltaire.
She
also
didn't ask me about Kant.
But-
She forgot.
Yeah, but
He's the first one I mentioned.
Emmanuel Kant.
Yeah.
but you know what? I had some kind of, I think maybe this is like
You always
superstitious.
have something.
I thought that maybe if I will read them, like they will influence my mind somehow. And I knew that they were not believers, so I don't. I thought maybe maybe
Emmanuel
I
Kant
should.
was a believer.
He was. I don't.
Emmanuel Kant.
I don't know very well, so I have to learn. So I thought, like, I was influenced by who I should read and who I should not read. What is my understanding now is that I have to have my own head on my shoulders, and not to listen to what I should read, what I should not read, and just go and research and learn and educate myself. And now, like, I think I will go back to history, but to philosophy and to history. So that and I will learn now from the perspective of how these people influence the nations, and how they influence the nations, which difficulties they went through, and lessons that I can go through them. And the third thing, there is a third thing. Is that also one more thing is that I think I will also go into history of different nations, because what we do usually is we follow the program of the school, which for Europe, is concentrated mainly on what was going on in Central Europe, and not that far. So I think I will go to research Africa and maybe other countries. Like, I have no idea what was going on in China and in those countries in East. So I want to be educated, and I don't want to be read when I'm asked about Kant and Voltaire and so on.
You know who will teach you?
Who?
My daughter.
Really? Which one?
The youngest.
You don't know?
The youngest.
I know, the
I don't know
youngest.
because I didn't communicate it.
Pearl.
Paul can talk with me like this.
Yeah.
I am Pearl. We can flow together like that.
Wow. And to have such conversation is very interesting.
Yeah.
It's
Go and
very
talk to Pearl about nations and about.
Okay, let
you
me
know.
prepare for talking to you.
And she's 13
Who
years
is the
old.
next one? Who wants to be the next one to talk?
Who wants to talk?
What's your opinion? Just your feeling. Yano wants to come. Come and share your feeling and opinion. But you have to come here. You have to come here and share what you think about today, about this class. Maybe are you happy you were here
Yes, I'm
today?
very excited. I'm
Tell
very
us about
excited.
it.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm Yano Lua,
Yes.
Miracle of God.
Right.
Okay, so a lot I've actually learned today, and I've actually learning a lot from my time of joining the live broadcast, both from watching and from being here. So being here actually is more because, you can feel it live, like you are in the thing. Okay, so about today. Wow, where do I start from? There's so many people we talked about. Okay, but I love the guy, Voltaire. I've never heard of him before, but I love the things that he did. Old Europe. Most people, they change the nation, the country,
Yeah.
but this is like a continent as a whole. And I feel the major change that you can give to any place, any nation, any country, anybody is giving them God. Be able to change the place for God, with God's values, with God's principles, with, because what is the essence of I love you, I change you, I help you, and I leave you, not giving you God? You end up dying and going to hell. You end up dying and, we can hear about you, but there's nothing much about you because you're empty and you don't have Him. So that is like the major change you can give. That is the major change you can give. And I was listening to Pastor Sandey recently about when he was in America, and I think it's America, where he was talking about the value system of a nation. the Bible said something that was in Ephesians chapter 1, and it said the church is not peripheral to the world, but the world is peripheral to the church. So that means the church is superior to the world. So we are supposed to carry God. We are supposed to be from the church to change the people. So it's not like now the church is separate from the world, or the church is supposed to be doing their own thing, or the world should be influencing what we do. That's the part that gets me. How can we be copying the world when they're supposed to be copying us? That is the point. Like, we do something and they want to be like us. So it's not the other way around. So I'm very, very inspired by them. But it's not like the other people are not inspiring too. Because I also like Adolf Hitler. This man was a very bad man. But how can you be so bad and people will follow you like that? So I also want you to know that it's not about you being a Christian. It's about you being knowing what to do and have the ability to do it. So that is why we Christians should also rise up and do something. Because the bad people, if they know what to do, they'll continue to do it and change people for themselves. While we are here and we're sitting down. And we are the sons of God. We are supposed to take charge and take domain. That is why we're here. We're given the word. God will not come and rule here. He doesn't need it. He put us here for a reason. So we are here. We are just doing what we want. So my main thing I want us to know about everything is that I want us to take charge. I want you to be a person of history. Wow, that's why I love the history makers training and the word history makers. Like, just make history. Make your own history. Be a Smith Wigglesworth. Be an Aristotle. Be a Pastor Sandey. Be somebody. Don't just be. So be a person of history. That's how I'm going to end it today. Thank you.
Brilliant you.
Very good. Anyone else?
Olha, Pastor Natália, perdão, para luz de tudo, mas postou mestre. We are waiting for Pastor Natasha to come.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Today's session, today's time with Pastor Sandey was very, not only interesting. This is not just the word that can describe, but it was very building of my life. I will say it like this, because when I heard that Pastor said that all of these people that we was talking about them, and Pastor was talking about them, and he said that they are their friends, they are the people that he wants to stay with them, exchange mind with them. And it was very deep thoughts that take place in me, because really, you know, sometimes you want to have around of you people that have the same way of thinking, and you have not. And today Pastor Sandey showed us, even if you have not people, like live people around of you, maybe you live somewhere, and you are not even near of Pastor Sandey today here, but you somewhere that around you alive people that you can touch them, they are not thinking like you, and you feel that you are alone. But you are not alone. That there is a lot of people in history, and maybe not only in history, like far from 2017, but maybe people that is far from you physically.
Yes.
But you can exchange your mind with them. You can be friend with them because you took their thoughts when you read their books, when you're hearing the messages, when you watch the video. You can exchange, you can take these thoughts, you can be like soul by soul, and you can have a relationship with them. So, and this was very powerful, because I have practiced like to be missionary and to be far from the center, from the people that was around of me, from the Pastor Sandey. I was 15 years far from him also, but through books, through messages, through thoughts that it was close to me, I had a relationship. Yeah, and today Pastor Sandey, like he opened for me a little bit more secrets, that I can also build relationship, like be friendly with the people that was living 1,000 years before. I was reading about them. I like some thoughts of them, but really, my mission, what I have to do in this earth, this connect me with all of these people also of that time. So I just now, today, I know more, and not just more, but practically I understood how I can have relationship with all of these people and just take the best things from them. So it's very easy to look at all of these people of history to see what I can learn from them, what I need, what I need for my mission, for everything I want to see, and just take all of these things and also have fellowship, like say, with them. So it was like more strongly for me today, and I learn more about Pastor Sandey every day. And today I learned all of these things, and I had something, about that before, but today it was more deeply.
What did you discover about Pastor Sandey today?
I discovered that you have not people around you today. Like I knew this, but today it was more deeply. And from one side it was like painful, because we are all around you, but we are mostly like we are like your child, your disciples. So we are not in the same level, and you need somebody in the same level of thinking, the people strong, and from the one side I learned that you need the people that have the same level of thinking, of goals, character, abilities, everything of this. And from other side, it's like you have not all of these people. And this make me more, more gratitude to you, that you allow us to stay today around of you, and this make me more like honorable, appreciate what are you doing and which price you pay. So, and I learned. But you put standards for us, and I like these standards, and I want to go like there. Thank you. Oh. Thank you. And I want to bring joy
to you.
Yeah. I want to bring joy to you, and to be like to be your joy now, and and after maybe years, or and bring fruits, and my fruits will be your fruits and your gift.
Amen.
Yeah.
For me, that's the biggest gift.
Yeah. And I pray and I wish that people
what we could do,
value what you do for all of us, and who is watching and who stay around you and work with you. So I just wish everyone just have this understandable a little.
I think we need to give the names, titles to all these videos, so that people will know how important the videos are. And because people just think it's just what do we call it, questions from Pastor Sandey, but they should know. We should write something to make people know that each one of them are important, especially this one. It's something that the whole world must see, I think.
I don't know more open person as you are to the world, to the people. I don't know. And I'm amazing this, and I understand that all of Christian, like who call Christian, they need to be like that. Maybe they are afraid, they live the religion life, they're afraid something, because to be so open to the world like you ask, it can be only strong person, really strong person. So, but through this openness, yes, you make you you open. People see you make that people can say anything they want. Like,
vulnerable. Vulnerable.
Yeah, but because you are not thinking only about yourself. You know that some people that are watching, some people that is around, that people that hear you, they need
it.
So you do this, just no mind.
Even though I know people talk and misunderstand.
Yes, and you do this. And for me, for all my life, it shows you love people. And even if they hurt you, if they against you, they write something about you, they're saying something about you, are continue. You are not close your door. You continue to do what you did. And it's amazing. It's amazing. It make me, it changed me. It changed my heart every time. Your example just showed me how I need to be with people, and and because I want to be like Christ. But in reality, I see in you Christ. It's like you are an example, like life example. That Christ. Model I can see. So
living Christ.
Yeah, living Christ. Yeah, living Christ. And I want it. Just. And I believe, Pastor, and everything you see today, yesterday, everything you see about Africa, about Voltaire in Africa, I see this picture. I see. Yeah. I see this picture. I see like this.
It's not just a story.
No. And I can see this.
And that's why I want to take people like you to go with me back to Africa. Yeah. And, for anybody who has not joined the African Nigerian Transformation Project, I want to change my continent. I want to plant the seed, at least.
Yeah.
So you have to go with me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor.
Спасибо. Давай я тебя переведу, если ты скажешь. Or anybody wants to come? You only come and speak in English. Only I will speak in English.
Hello, everybody. I'm Olga. When I listen Pastor today, I'm here. Pastor spoke about historical people, and I hear how he spoke about his values. He spoke about his goal in his life, about his purpose, and what he value in people's life. Пастор, помогите мне, пожалуйста. Слушая вас, я увидела...
Listening to Pastor Sandey today.
Спасибо вам большое за перевод. я увидела, что вы ставите цель больше, чем свои собственные силы. Что вы создаете себя, ставя высокие цели.
I see that Pastor Sunday is always putting goals that are more than him ahead of himself. He's always putting goals much more farther than where he is or who he is.
И Бог созидает все вокруг для того, чтобы исполнилась воля Божьего сердца.
He wants to live for something greater than himself. And God is making that possible. God is bringing the resources and the opportunities for him to be able to see the greater things, and then so that he will be able to accomplish not just what he wants, but the desire of God's heart.
Бог дает мудрость, Бог дает ресурсы, Бог приводит нужных людей, и Он подготавливает почву.
I see that desire for pastor to live for something greater than himself is God's desire. And that's why God is giving him the wisdom, God is giving him the people, God is giving him the understanding to even dream of these things. These are what God really desires to do through the life of every one of us. But pastor has made himself available to be able to see that, and God is giving him the understanding and the possibilities to be able to do it. Is to be able to accomplish his will.
Люди, о которых пастор Сандей говорил сегодня, они отличились какой-то особенной чертой человечности.
All those people that Pastor Sunday was talking about today, each one of them were exceptional because of what they did.
И то, что они делали, они не сделали единожды. Они это повторяли из дня в день.
They didn't just do one thing for one day and forgot about it. They lived that. They gave their life to accomplish what they are remembered for.
И то, что мы видим сегодня здесь, эта жизнь, она живется каждый день. Такими поступками, повторяющимися каждый день, эти ценности, они уже видны сегодня, и мы можем учиться им.
This is the same thing we see in the life of Pastor Sunday today, because the principles that he's teaching you, he's living it out every day. Every day he has to keep on living through some of them very hard, very uneasy principles, but he has to live them every day, not just one time. You've got to live it out every day, and we're already seeing the results.
Пастор Сандей, мне повезло, конечно, видеть вас вживую, но для тех людей, которые не видят великих людей рядом с собой, есть надежда, потому что есть история. И это вызов изучать историю, видеть цитаты, биографии. И это нужно делать, потому что это дает мотивацию и энергию к жизни.
Pastor Sunday, I count myself to be very, very fortunate and very lucky that I'm alive today at the same time with you and able to see you, be able to touch you, and be able to really live in the same time with you and be able to be in your presence. But even when we don't have such an opportunity, or you don't have such an example like Pastor Sunday, see how Pastor Sunday has done. He has taken heroes from history. So we all could go into history and look for greatness, for great heroes that we could fashion our lives after.
Спасибо вам.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Добрий вечір.
Good evening.
Я, слухаючи те, що ви говорили про характеристики великих людей, яких ви бачите себе.
While I was listening to these principles, to these teachings of Pastor today, and the great qualities he got from the great people of history.
Для мене по-новому відкрилися ви, і друге, як потрібно дивитися на життя великих людей.
I saw another Pastor Sunday today. Just listening like today to the Pastor Sunday, I'm seeing my pastor from another angle. And also, I'm learning how I should read about great people in history.
Тому що вся шкільна система освітня і навіть аспірантура, як переважно вчать історичні постаті, як просто як біографії.
Like I am as an academician personally, as a PhD holder and as a university lecturer, I will tell you that the way we have been taught to read and to study is not the same way Pastor Sunday has showed us today. We just read like we are reading history books or biographies. But what Pastor has taught us today is totally different. Is extracting values that you could imitate and how you could relate and actually interact with those people who have lived in history.
Тому що у нас ми привикли вчити, коли народився, коли помер і що було зроблено, а як характер самої людини і по принципах, завдяки яких вона таких стала, це ви мені відкрили на це очі.
Normally we just read about what they did and when they were born, when they died and what happened, and that's all. But to really interact with them and get their qualities and make them yours, it's only Pastor Sunday that has taught us this.
І це урок для нас, що вивчаючи такий шлях людей і дивлячись на їх особистості і принципи, по яких вони жили, це дає нам надію і можливість теж добитися таких результатів.
This approach that Pastor Sunday is teaching us is giving us hope that we too can do what those people have done and have the same kind of result that they got.
А друге, на що я звернула увагу, ви так цікаво показали, що навіть Ленін, ну, про тих людей, яких ми вважаємо Гітлер, Ленін, там, які вони погані, тому що вони зробили якась одна риса погана, і ви показали, що вони є різносторонні, тому що і на них можна чогось вчитися.
Another lesson for me is that even the bad people, people that the whole world regard as bad, like Lenin, Hitler, Fidel, and even from those evil people, Pastor Sunday is even able to learn some lessons. So that is another thing that I'm learning today. Not just that they are bad and that's all, but there is something to learn from even bad people.
І це говорить про вашу глибину, тому що ви не дивитеся на людей односторонньо, з односторонньої.
And that means Pastor Sunday doesn't look at somebody just one-sided. Just say, okay, it's bad, that's all. Yeah, and that talks about your depth, that you are very deep, Pastor.
І я вражена, скільки у вас історичних знань, і скільки у вас глибини всередині, якої ми ще не знаємо, що ви так просто, як енциклопедія.
Listening to Pastor Sunday today, it was like I was listening to a living encyclopedia. Pastor Sunday, you have such a depth without looking at any book, without referring to anything, without reading from anywhere, just to be talking about all these different people who have lived in different ages, different times, different period of time, to just be talking from your head. So how much do you still have inside you? Like that. So Pastor Sunday has so much insight, such depth inside. How can a human being have all these things just sitting down inside of him and opening his mouth and they are coming out, just coming out, all different kind of people from different, like thousands of years of difference of history.
І ще мені сподобалося.
It's like a history book.
І ще мені сподобалося, що ви в кожній особистості, про яку ви сказали, ви підкреслили її, якусь особливість одну, її роль кожного.
And another thing I like is that you are not just talking about each one of them, what they did, but you are actually looking for the most important values and virtues in the life of each one of these.
І це говорить, що у вас такий конструктивний, аналітичний підхід.
And that talks about your constructive, analytical approach to everything.
Дякую.
Спасибо. Thank you. I don't need to walk here now. I can rest.
Hello, everyone.
Madam Fisayo is here.
Yeah, my name is Fisayo, like Pastor said. I mean, this evening is actually deep, Thank you, Pastor, for being honest and open and with us. Yeah, because only few people would let out the weapon they use to become great, so that others can use it, just like this. And what got me thinking is all these great people from different, ages and centuries, who did they look up to? Who were they reading about that made them great? It shows they were all original. And it's the same originality that Pastor Sandey has that made him to connect with them. But we lost our originality due to so many things. The world system, religion. So we cannot just by ourselves connect to God and do great things. And the great lesson that I've learned is in every person, human, there is originality. Such that if we can just look inward, of course connecting with God, God can use us, what He has placed in us, to break records and dominate on earth and rule the world for Him. Just like these great people. Of course, I mean those who knew God. And even those who did not know God tapped into the originality had in them and used it, even though on the negative side. You know, these are things we need to discover and we need to use for God, so we can return the glory of earth, you know, back to God. I mean, it's a lot, you know, way more, and it also challenges me to put more value in myself. You know, Pastor was teaching around the anniversary time, and he was saying what is most important is self-education, putting value in oneself, and is the depth, the amount of time Pastor Sandey has invested in himself. That's why all these virtues and wisdom are coming out. And it's the same thing those people know that he has mentioned, like we relate to, used. So above everything, God cannot use us past how much we develop our minds. So the peak is, I must first know how to invest and convert time to input, you know, values and treasures and knowledge in myself, so that God can use me more, of course, for His works. Thank you, Pastor Sandey.
Up to you.
Yes. Okay. On. Well, first, I wasn't surprised when Dr. Sandey said that he feels alone and he doesn't have anybody on his level. There is great pain in knowledge, and I have seen that. But what really surprised me is that, first of all, he shows me how to love. He shows me what love means, other than the word love, but what it means in a practical way. And the surprise really is exactly what Pastor Natalia was saying, which is that even though in that pain, knowing that we're not on his level, he would give his last breath to be with us, to make sure that we have the understanding, the knowledge, the ability, the support, the strength that we need in order to be who God made us to be. So for me, that's alone. So when he says something to me and I don't get upset or it doesn't bother me, it's because of this power that he possesses, the power that he loves totally. And he doesn't love with just words. He loves with, or emotions. He loves with everything. You know, with the truth, with the knowledge, with the wisdom, being able to give us that, even though he's none of us are on his level. The people that he mentioned, over 1,000 years old. I've always said personally in gist that he is like 1,000 years old to me. He's not a 50-year-old, that is 1,000-year-old, and this exactly explains it, because you can see all his friends, all the people that he associates mentally with, are so old and so ancient. So for me, it's just gratitude, like Pastor Natalia, that I just want to show him the gratitude of this kind of love that is practical. It's not just words. It's just practical. It's God. It's Jesus embodied. Jesus for real, that I can see. Jesus that I can understand, I can speak to, that I can come to and ask questions. And, you know, it doesn't make any of us feel inferior at all. You know, even knowing that these people they're not the people that I identify with in such a way intellectually, but it still shows so much love, so much care, so much time that is investing in us. Sitting here doing this for over 2 hours now. For me, it's just so great. Saying thank you is the lowest form of, as I understand the Russians have been taught, and they know that, is the lowest form of gratitude, to just say thank you. I'm going to try and understand the highest form of gratitude, and I don't know if I can ever kind of repay that gratitude, but I'm grateful, and it's such a pleasure to be here to share Dr. Sandey with you guys, for Dr. Sandey to make himself available to us on a daily basis, even in his pain of not being around the people which are no longer in existence, but the willingness that he has to still be with us and to teach, to liberate us. It's amazing. And I only wish I can be maybe a percentage of him, because he embodied everything that I understand Jesus to be. He embodied things that I aspire to be. You know, it's not just in love, but also in truth. So I'm really grateful. And I appreciate you guys. I think Kate still has something to say. So
She's thinking. Her
yes.
mind is working.
She's thinking,
very fast.
you know. So let's move to Lady Katia.
I'm thinking that after this session, what I have understood, I've analyzed myself during these 2 hours, and I think I just understood that what I'm doing is just I don't know very well the meaning of these words, like fooling around, if it's correct to say.
Yes, it's correct.
But it's like I'm fooling around. Like what? My question to me is, what are you doing? Where your time is going? You're not building any value in yourself. You're just, thinking of yourself all the time. Like even if I do something to serve other people, it's like it's all about thinking about myself, and I'm not living at all in the eternity like Pastor does. Like I'm just living the like biomass. Although I already started to think that I'm not, I'm fooling myself, because my question is, where is all my time going? Because I could spend this time to convert it into internal value, and I just what I have seen today, I've seen in Pastor the whole world. I've seen in Pastor such a depth that you can drown there. It's not possible to. It's like God. You cannot unveil God till the end. And Pastor has shown that it can be done in us, but you have to really value time. So I understood that I didn't value time, and I feel like I even regret, if it's, I don't know exactly the depth of this word, but I think I feel a deep regret that where my time is going. This is what I have from today.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, it's been a privilege as always to be here with you, to join you, to listen to Dr. Sandey. The question that was asked is just one question that we spent 2 hours on. It's amazing. I'm not surprised. Again, Dr. Sandey is holistic, 360 degrees. He doesn't give half an answer, and if he's not going to answer, he doesn't answer at all. So if you've got more questions, please write your question in the comment section, and we would extract them and list them for tomorrow or another day. We've still got a number of days to go. It's only we're in day 10 of 28 days or 30 days. So we've got more time. So bring on your questions, and use this video or this teaching or this time that we had today to improve yourself as well. This is the key to who Dr. Sandey is, in part, because I feel every time I say this is who he is, I discover new things every day. So I'm very cautious to say that as a whole, but in part at least, you have the key, you have the materials. You can go on the internet and find out about all these people and how it's connected to Dr. Sandey and what he's saying. You can do your own research and self-development. So don't just leave it to hearing alone, but make it your life, your lifestyle. Understand these people, understand him, and go to these hundreds now, yes, hundreds, going into thousands of teaching that is on YouTube. It's Sandey Adelajah Official, so you can check him out, Sandey Adelajah Official. There are a whole host of playlists that you can watch at your own pace. Also, you have his blog, which is sundayadelajablog.com. And if you're interested in the Nigerian Transformation Project, you can add /Nigeria to that. So I repeat, sundayadelajablog.com/Nigeria. And of course, don't forget you're on Facebook right now. So share this and also like his page if you haven't already liked his page, and invite other people to like his page so that other people can gain from this wisdom, that you wouldn't be the only person that is wise, because if you're wise and people around you are not wise, then it's pain for you, so we all need to be wise together. I appreciate you all for joining us this evening. I hope to see you again tomorrow. You certainly see me, and you will see Dr. Sandey and most of the people here. So good night, and I will see you tomorrow. Mwah. Bye.